Hello to everyone who are joining us in this seventh session that we will be having about the physical or the fitness area for the officials. So, before going straight to the session, my name is Julio Anaya. I'm together with Mr. Joselo Quiñones, who will introduce him in a few minutes. So hope you can enjoy, learn, and any doubt or any question you have, you can share with us through the chat so we can try to answer as much as we can. So let's begin right here. Okay, today we will talk about how to activate your body before, during, and after the game. We have a special guest who is Mr. Joselo Quiñones. The first question we always share with all the people that join us is how are you related to basketball? Just to know how our room is composed. If you're a referee, coach, player, you can share your answer on the poll area so we can know if we are talking to a room full of ref or we have another type of basketball component here with us.
That's
We use,
100%. I just said.
I think it's 100% or some of them have not answered, but English we usually have above 95% of referees. We always encourage
Yes.
everybody to share the link, share the information with other people, coaches and players. Maybe today we will speak fully about officiating, but in other sessions we share in other topics that will be good if coaches and players are together with us.
Yes,
So
and it is good. It is good to the coaches and the players to know that we have a we do have a physical preparation. So in those terms, it's good to referee to let everybody know that we are another athlete in the court. So let's cheer them that we get ready for the game.
they sometimes they think that we arrive to the gym and that's when our game begins. So it's good that you say
That
for
is
sure.
not that is not that happens. You have to do your training all mornings, some of the time with me or the other partners that are working with the physical preparation area with FIBA. So no, there's no time to rest.
In our index or the topics, first we will make the introduction of our guest, and then we will talk about five topics that begins from prior to the event, how we prepare before the event, then how we activate during the game day, then how we warm up, halftime activation, and after the game finish, the post game stretching. So we will have that like chronological steps for you to have an idea of how can we prepare. The second question is a bit related to our guest before introducing him, just to see if some of you know him or have worked with him or I don't know, any other information that you will have on the poll, in which the question is which is the country of birth of our guest Joselo Quiñones? If he's from Cuba, Puerto Rico, or Dominican Republic, you can share your answer right there. In the Spanish session, we have a very split decision. I
Yes.
think you were from Dominican. Let's see how it works today. Okay, then we got mostly of the people know that you are from Puerto Rico. We still have 7% which says that you are from Cuba. So let's see with the introduction what is the correct answer. So today we have Mr. Joselo Quiñones. He is a FIBA referee and referees fitness trainer. He's a basketball referee since 1999, Puerto Rico professional referee since 2002, FIBA active referee since 2009, and is working as a fitness trainer for referees since 2007. So He's very prepared academically. He has a master in physiology in the exercise, and his specialty is on the training of high performance athletes. So, welcome, Joselo. You can now say hello and introduce to the people that are joining.
So thanks to you, Julio, and thanks to Omar to let me be with you, speaking a little bit about sports, about training, about refereeing. That is the aspect that we most love in this life. Um, I born in in a basketball court, so this is the place where I have been the most of the time in my life. So thank you to having me here. I hope to answer all the questions that everybody have here in the chat. So if you have something, just let me know. I will do my best to help you all.
Okay, we began like quick, straight to the point, and maybe some of our guests might be wondering where is Omar? They used to watch him here all week, so now let's explain why he's not here. He was not ejected. He was only celebrating his birthday. Those of you who follow us on the social media, you will find out that he's on birthday this week. So we let him like a free week just to enjoy with his family during this COVID-19 time. So now that you know, don't be afraid. Next week you will have him here with us. The third question that is like the one we always do together with the first one is to ask you which element inside the referee's preparation is more related with the activation of the body before, during, and after the game. In the first session, we talk about these five elements. We describe each of them. So now, all the sessions we have, we always ask the people. So we try to have topics in each of them, so we can like be a complete referee talking about. We talk about technical preparation. The other, we got Mr. David Rosario talking about technical fouls, reaction, about psychological management. And today is the time of the physical capacity according to the group. And it's very, like, was an easy question. Well, we still having it. Okay, now going straight to our business, which is the session itself. We will begin with the preparation prior to the event. How can we prepare before an event? And before each topic, we will ask you to know how you interact with this information. So before this first one, the question is, for what type of event do you consider that the preparation should be more demanding? So you have the option A, for a short event, example, a 5-day championship, in which you referee every day consecutively, or for a long event, which is, for example, 4-month leagues or national leagues or competition, in which you might referee approximately from 3 to 4 games per week. And when we are talking about games, we're talking about official games, those who the clock stops and you need to be very prepared, not the 1 hour game or the 40 minutes game. We're talking about this type of game. So let's have your opinion about which type of competition do you think the preparation before should be more demanding. So it's getting, I think most of the people are giving us the opinion that for a long event, those that have a length in month, they think that the preparation should be more demanding. So now we will ask our expert today, how will you compare this preparation for a short event compared with a long event? And if you can talk us in terms of working areas, how long before the game we should start, and the intensity that we should have each week. So it's your time.
Yes. Okay, let's talk a little bit about sports. Is the preparation in terms of what we need as a referee in the court? The basketball is a sport that is half and half between anaerobic capacity and aerobic capacity. So we have to work on both. Okay. Nowadays, we have seen in the modern basketball that we're playing that the guys are faster. The players are faster. We have to be on top of the game. So we have to train the sprint capacity too. So what happens in terms of which is harder? Well, a longer tournament, you have to prepare to that tournament before the tournament, and you have to keep that preparation that you have before the tournament during the tournament. So it's difficult when you have a day job, and then you have to work a game, and you have to travel, and you have to train at the same time. So in terms of the magic of what I have to train, the difficult situation is when you have a championship and you are doing your tournament, because you're having games, you're having maybe your day job, and you have to take some time to be prepared for a 5 to 1 week event. In the 1 week event, you have to be there with a great aerobic capacity. Why is that? When you have a great aerobic capacity, you can be well prepared to the changes in the weather. You are well prepared to support to be on top with the situation of the jet lag. You will be better with the situation to recover from day to day. In those tournaments that we had, there is just 1 week. We all we referee almost every day. So in the local tournaments, we have maybe 2 games in a week, 3 games, and we are in a good way of the money speaking. Maybe we can have four. I don't know. I have to be lucky to have that. But anyway, okay. So for that championship, be aware that you have to be in a great aerobic capacity so you can recover faster after every game to be on top in the next day. What we are saying that most referees, maybe because they have the national tournaments running at the same time that they are being prepared for a championship, they go to the championship and they get sore. The muscles get sore. Why they get sore? Because maybe the preparation wasn't enough to have a morning training when you wake up, then maybe a meeting, then a game, and then you have another meeting with the instructors, and then you have to do your report. So to be on top of all that, be aware that you have a great aerobic training. Um, Strength, yes, we need some of that, but not to be focused in the strength situation. We have to be we need the strength training more to be to not get injured. Okay, so because we referee, we don't need muscles. We don't need to build a lot of muscles. We need agility. We need change of direction situation. We need to be athletic more than muscle. Building muscle as a bodybuilder. We don't need that because that maybe can put you out of the court because you are with all that weight over you in the court in every game. Remember, when you're running, you have to multiply your weight by 3, and all that weight is over your knees when you're running. Okay, so you want to be with your weight in according to be safe in every game. The duration before an event, uh, be aware that you take out at least 3 months to prepare your body. How many days in a week? It will depend on your capacity, but at least 3 days in a week, or you can go over to 5 days in a week. We need to rest too. Okay, the rest is part of our training. So but when we are resting, we have to be aware of our nutrition, our rehydration situation, to be on top for the next training. So that's what I have for you in terms of that question, Julio.
Okay, so how, before going to the types of exercise, you talk about aerobic, the aerobic capacity we need for short tournaments to be ready for the next day and the next day and the next day. Before going to that specific, what type of exercise or things you think that need to be trained to get that aerobic capacity?
Well, we run in the court. We had to talk about the the the, the muscle memory. Okay, and because of we run, if we run in the training, our muscles will be prepared for that type of training. So we had to, but some of the time, if we are doing a tournament, maybe you want to rest a little bit your muscles, and you can do some another type of aerobic training like cycling or doing a rowing machine or another type of training. How much time each session? We as a referees, our court is short, pretty different from soccer. That is the biggest court. So everything around half an hour to do your aerobic training is very good. Okay, so that's what I have for you in those terms. At least three days a week.
So to here we share some types of exercise that we have on the FIBA manual for referees. We talk about running, fartlek, speed, repeated spring ability, and Oregon exercise. So we will share a short clip of each one, and after we will have Joselo's comments about those exercises.
I love that picture. Our friend from Italy is there running pretty good.
And
Nice technique.
I think he was a referee in the tournament, but still as an instructor, nowadays he's still making his physical activation with the referees in the morning.
That's a great example. I love him. A great singer too.
So this was our first one about running.
Yes. Those jogging situations, we use it as some of the time as a warm up. We can do a general warm up that is maybe a jog or maybe a cycling to get our body ready to for a more specific warm up that is doing in like dynamic movement that I like what we're gonna do in the court, but we will talk about that later. So some of the days in the week we had to do this type of running about 50-60% of our heart rate maximum, so we can have those longer running. So we're talking about maybe 30 to 25 minutes on those runs.
Now we will share a video of a far leg exercise.
Fast.
In this one, what can
Far
you?
leg. Love that. I love far leg. Um, Far leg. That is a word that means change of speeds, or we are playing with the change of speeds. Um, we can build two things: aerobic capacity and anaerobic capacity. We need both on the court. Here, hard, when we go hard, we working above our lactate threshold level. So that means that we're getting pretty anaerobic, and we need that because some of the time in the court, we have to run and then come back running and then come back running, depending on the speed of the game. If the players are playing the run and gun, they're playing fast. When on that moment, we're building a lot of lactate on the court. So far leg is a great training that we can have. Usually, we have a warm up on that training. Then we go 1 minute to 1 minute, just changing the speeds and working with that, so to getting well prepared for the demands of the court.
Now we have another tip about.
That's great. Yes, I saw that they're running a hill now, a little bit a hill. So they're working acceleration. The acceleration is very important for a referee, because most of the time we are just stopping a place, players are running, and we go in with players. When we running from trade to lead, that is the time when the referee can demonstrate that I'm an athlete, I'm ready for this game, and I prepare for this situation. There is when you show everybody that you are ready for that game. So when you're running from trade to lead, you need that a great acceleration, because the first three steps have to go hard with both hands and feet, so you can go and be the first person that goes to the end line and wait for the players. That's the perfect situation. So yeah, I know that they're fast. Yes, they're fast, but that's our goal. Okay, so that acceleration capacity, we work on the hills, but we have to be aware that we have to work in the deceleration capacity too, and we work that with the plyometric training. Some jumps in the same step, or some jumps jumping around, or clockwise, counterclockwise. So we can in one foot or two at the same time. So we have to work on that, because most of the time when the referees get injured is when they are decelerating, because we don't work on that capacity.
Yes, and uh, totally agree. And we have like we practice these sprints and we go fast. And if we have to run 20 meters, we pass the 20 meters mark as fast as we can. But in the court, we
Yes.
start fast, but in that 15 or 16 meters, we need to stop suddenly. So it is type of
Yes.
training.
Yes, that type of training we have to do a plyometric. Remember that referee, we have a 28 meters court. We don't supposed to run the 28-meter, never,
I have seen
unless you go.
lead to
You
lead,
saw
but
once
let's see. Yes,
lead to lead. Well,
let's see.
think
It's not
things
common.
happens. It's not common. So most of the time we have to run like 15 meters, 10 meters. So that's the acceleration that we need. But after those 10 to 15 meters, we have to stop. So we have to train to stop in a well manner.
Now the last video.
Go.
So this
Great
one,
video. There's my friend from Korea. Yes, I saw. I had a tournament with her a few years ago. Oregon training. We love that. They were doing some Superman's variation in that situation. Typically, we mark 100 meters in a place that is just a straight place.
100
And
feet,
we do
100 feet, 30,
100 feet. I
100
might
feet,
foul.
30
100
meters,
feet.
30 meters, 30.
Yes, 30 meters, 30 meters. And you do 30 meters, and you have on both ends, you do a strength exercise. So typically, we each set of Oregon training can last around 10 to 7 minutes, because we do the strength exercise by 30 seconds, and then we sprint the 100 feet, the 100 feet on um, the different situations. So there's is a very good training to train your sprint capacity, your anaerobic capacity, and to train to have a more fast pace. Okay, we that type of training we are working around usually 80 to 85 to 90% of our heart rate maximum.
So now talking a bit about strength or type to train the strength, we have these options of free weights with weights, elastic bands, or TRX. And how can you recommend us sometimes or specific to our situation right now, in which most of us should train at home or near home because some gyms are closed, or also during those travels in which maybe there is not a gym allowing in the hotel, but we can still having this type of exercise in the room.
Yes. The first thing that we have to do as a referee is to dominate our body weight. How do we know that that we dominate our body weights? You dominate the push-ups. You can dominate. If you cannot do the normal push-ups, we can start with modified push-ups. But the goal is to do the normal push-ups and a suspension trainer. We can travel with that. It's not too, it's good to have it on your back with you, and we can train a lot with that at home. That's what I use more here, my suspension trainer. Okay. The elastic band, we can have that in our bag too. We can use it at the hotel. Okay. But the most important thing is that we all dominate the overhead squat. Overhead squat, you can have, you know, a stick, a long stick over your head, and you do your full squat movement, and the stick doesn't supposed to move forward or back. If it move forward, maybe we have to work more on the abs. If we move back, maybe we have to work more on our lower back. Okay, and we can see if our hips are activating well. We have to remember as a referees that the most of the injuries that we have is because our hips are not activating well. So be aware that you control your body in an overhead squat. Be aware that you dominate your body in push-ups, and be aware that you dominate your body in dips. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Now I will share just an example of for some tournaments that we are around 5 years until now preparing before. We receive like a manual with the specific preparation in which, as Joselo mentioned, these type of tournaments are the short ones. So we have a 2 months, maximum 3 months preparation in which we prepare or we train 3 days per week, assuming that these threads are the games or the official games we have during the week. We can for sure fix this to our personal needs. If we have a game on Wednesday, then we switch that day for the game day to the training day, just like something a recommendation during the week, but we must do. And we usually do one fitness test per month just to have like a control and how we are progressing. And these are the sample of the exercise during the week 11, for example. The first row, the first day they asked us to make a 4 set of 8 minute running. Then they send a fartlek, and at the end they say 32 minutes running with a repeated sprint ability. So it's just for you to have an idea of, so let's say 3 days per week. It can be good if we train those 30 or 45 minutes in a good way. It's not the same being 2 hours in the gym doing nothing that being 30 or 40 minutes training very well. So what can you share us for this?
Yes, it's important that we focus on which is our goal, because if our strength training workout is just to injury prevention, maybe you can do your workout and after that go straight and do your aerobic training. But if you have goals with both of them, in terms that you want to improve your strength and you want to improve your aerobic capacity too, we have to split the session and to separate maybe by 8 hours. Okay, so let's say that you wake up in the morning and do your strength training, or and then in the afternoon you go and do your aerobic training. Okay, so it will depend on what is our goal. We have to measure where you at. You have to measure yourself where you at, and and if you need more aerobic capacity, you have to that's your main training session in that day. So don't let all your energy goes in the strength workout. Okay, because your main goal is to be better in the aerobic capacity. Okay, with the control situation, the control session, um, yes, we can do it once a month, once every 3 weeks. That's where how I work it with my clients too. Or in some situation when we have a goal that is maybe in 6 months, or we had the Olympic Games that is in 1 year, we can delay that to maybe once every 8 weeks. Okay, so it will depends on our main goal and what is the main tournament that we have in that year. So the first thing that we have to ask ourselves is when is the main tournament that I have in this year and work around that.
You can begin making any question you have on the chat so we can be in answering.
Hmm.
Talking a bit about the fitness test before moving on. Sometimes we are like afraid, or we try to focus on I am preparing myself to the fitness test and not preparing myself to referee basketball or to a tournament itself. So what can you recommend or talk us about? Our training is
Yes.
directed on the game, and the fitness test is only a way or a control to see if we are getting ready for that game.
Yes, every league, national leagues and international tournaments, championships will have something to measure ourselves. That is part of the process. But our main goal is to be prepared for every game. Is to be prepared to be on top of the players. Is to be prepared to recover ourselves in the best manner so we can be more time in the court and not get injured. So the physical fitness test is going to be an accident of the process. So how we can be well prepared to pass the fitness test? Practice it. Practice this test. Just put it once in a month, because once you get it, your anxiety will goes down because you know that you already have that, and you can then be focused on the other things that you have to work physically to be on top of the game. Okay, so it will let to do the test. When they ask me to do it in the tournament, the level of anxiety is going to be high because we haven't doing it in the past few months. So my best the best thing that I can say to you is to don't let it for the tournament. Do it once a month, in every month before the tournament, and be ready for that a month before. You know that you have already done the test, and you can focus on the other things that you need to do to be on top of the for the tournament.
Okay, thank you very much. We talked about before the event, short or long. Now we will move to the game day activation. We have a game today. What can we do to activate our body? And before going to the topic itself, we will ask you a question. If you are a professional referee, or in this, I didn't translate like the best way, or a referee who is also a professional. Let's say it in that way. If you're a professional referee, is like the person that has refereeing as his main activity. So he has the first part of the day off to prepare for the game at night. And it also applies for those short events in which, okay, you work, but now you are here focusing on only the event that we have. And the other option is the option B, is in which you are a referee and also a professional. And it's a person that works or studies in the morning or in the first part of the day and has the refereeing as his secondary activity. So he doesn't have that time off to get prepared physically during the game day. So Let's see how is our room composed so that we can give specific recommendations to this type of person. Let's see here. Okay, we have, as in the Spanish session, we know that we are trying to get all the level of referees, not only FIBA or national, all referees from the grassroots. So now we see we got 83% of referees that also works. I know you
Hmm.
do also. So what recommendation you
Yes.
have for them in terms of maybe not physically, but in terms of bidding and any other thing they can do during the game day?
Yes. Try to have a time to rest. I know it's difficult, but try to change your mindset and your body sets for the game. Most of the time, we go out of the our daily job and then have a game after that. It doesn't matter if you're tired. It is better to do your warm up session before the game and to change your mindset and body set for the game. I'm telling you this because uh, I'm an exercise specialist and I have been in this situation and I had an injury. That injury took me out of a week without refereeing. And if you don't referee, you don't get paid. So. It's important. I was making an investigation on in exercise in the south part of Puerto Rico, and I was pretty tired because it was below the sun. It was a very hot day, and the guys that have been in Puerto Rico knows our Caribbean knows that we have a lot of humidity here, so it was hard day. And after that, I had a game. I had a game in the north part of Puerto Rico, a hard game. Actually, they were both the finalists of the last year. I mean, Bayamon and Arecibo, the great teams from Puerto Rico. And I was so tired that I didn't do my warm up, and I got injured in the first quarter. Just 5 minutes passed in the game, and I was injured. I had to call both teams, both coaches, and say, "Hey, I got injured." Okay, so I'm just letting you know I could finish the game, but after that I lost some games, I lost some money. So don't let the money be out of your pocket. Be prepared for every game. I know that most of them I saw 83%, right? They're professionals too. So those persons need to do your warm up session, your mental preparation session before your game, that to and switch the situation of your daily job. Another thing that we have to do is myofascial release. Do your myofascial release session before the game. Take all that situation that maybe you have your a little bit of soreness, you are a FISET t-shirt, or you were with the guys the whole day outside of the court, or the park, or the pool, moving out. So how we can do that? Well, you can travel with this ball. This is a myofascial release ball, so it can go in your bag. You can take it to any place in the world, and there's no problem. I have this all the time in my bag, all the time. And if I'm not doing with this, you can have a gum massager. Gum massagers are different classes now, and you can take out all those trigger points that you have in your muscles before the game, and after that you do your stretching session. Okay, so I recommend everybody to do it before games and after the games too, so we can stay healthy for the other games. Another thing is, you can do just compression socks. Okay, there's a lot of compression socks that can help you in the fluidity of the blood, and it's recommended that you can use it to the in the way to the gym and back from the gym to your house. Did you have any other questions around that? Let me know.
About the meals for these type of people during the game day, what can you suggest?
Yeah, it's important that we look our urine color. Okay, urine color has to be clear. If you don't have your urine color clear, you will have maybe in a state of dehydration, and the state of dehydration, it can affect your choice reaction time. That is maybe the decisions that you take in a moment in a game, and you're taking maybe a wrong decision, a bad decision, and it wasn't because you didn't know the rule, or you wasn't in the best place to referee the call that you're making. It's maybe because you are dehydrated. Okay, so be aware that you have a great state of dehydration every day, every game day, on the during that day in your work, your job. Okay, and be aware that your carbohydrates come from a good source, because you want your muscles be full of carbohydrates. So during the game, you don't go in a depletion. It doesn't goes down, and that can affect the muscle contraction. And if you affect the muscle contraction, then you can get injured in the game.
Okay, now moving on, the referees that might have the first part of the day to activate their bodies, even if they are professional or if they are in a short competition. Maybe you can give us a recommendation about how can they activate that body during the morning or before the game.
Yes, very good question. Remember one thing: the game day is not the day to do a hard training session. We're not training that day to be to get a primary goal, physically speaking. We are training that day to activate our body. So it's better to wake up in the morning and do a soft training session. Activate your glutes, activate your hips, activate your knees, activate your ankles, and an aerobic session that is not too hard, maybe around 60%, 65%. That will help in a better situation for the oxygenation of your body, and you'll be more prepared for the game that you will have maybe that afternoon or that night. So it's better to do a session of exercise than don't do anything, because you are waking up your body, and you're well prepared to that game, important game that you have in a few hours.
So here we share some example of the thing we usually do on the tournaments. We can go outdoor running. If there is raining or something the weather does not allow us, then we can have any other running machine or bike or elliptical at the hotel. And as Joselo says, always finish it in an stretching pulse activity.
Yeah, stretch. Don't go around the stretching session. We all do it in any point of our lives. We skip it. Um, Try to not do that, because flexibility, it needs for mobility, and in the capacity of change of direction that we have on the court, that we need to have on the court, because we're most of the time we're changing in a 45 degree, for both sides. Sometimes we have to change 180 degrees. That's a hard move for your hips. So don't skip flexibility, because that can have situations with your mobility, and if you have situation with your mobility, you will be late for the to make your better core, and you will have situation with the injuries.
Another thing we have here the picture about any other activity we can do to activate our body. We had this session in a tournament in Puerto Rico. I think Norval is here with us. He was, look here in the picture itself, in front of Jesset. So, how can you, or what can you talk us about this type of non-impact activities during the morning?
Well, the first thing is that we need to have fun.
Mhm.
Now, yes, this is our business. This is in a way is a way of to get the money to our houses. Um, but it's still a game. We're still playing, and it had to be fun. So there was a fun day for the guys. We just get it on the pool, and we do exercise in a all low impact manner. I brought on the exercise physiology professor Melissa Gonzalez to give the session, And if you look at the faces, they are happy, but they are working hard. And the low impact is very good if you wanted to keep your needs in a safe manner. Better if you are in a national tournament. Actually, I had a veteran here in Puerto Rico that asked me how he can spend his lifetime in the league. So because he were getting injuries almost every year, he was getting in the surgery situation and almost three surgeries. That's very hard for him. So I just let him know, hey, forget about the floor for 9 months. Okay, so go and train in the pool, and we just get somebody that is special in that area for to train him, so he was able to be in the court from the 53 years that he had to the 63 years when he retired. So on those 10 years, he made a lot of money, and just I still asking him for the 10% because I give him the advice to do more money in his life, but he don't want to give me the 10%. So
Oh,
okay, but we're still friends.
then you need to have it written on something, but okay,
Yes, I didn't
that's
do
fine.
that.
Now, moving to the game itself, how when we arrive to the court and we start that pre-game warm-up, before going in, we will share a question with the audience. And the question is, how often do you warm up before a game? And the question is, how often you do? So the options is the A, I always do an appropriate warm up. The B, sometimes I do an appropriate warm up. And the C, I do not usually do an appropriate warm up. So be honest, there's no names on the answers. And it's just to know if you are considering this point important during your game itself. So let's wait for people to answer so we can have an idea of our percentage right here. So we have almost about 70 that they say that they always do an appropriate warm up. So let's now, as we begin well, talk about the word appropriate. So how can this warm up that you do might get into the appropriate? And we will be asking Joselo, considering the importance of a pre-game activation, how earlier and what types of warm-up exercise you think are appropriate to be physically ready from the start of the game.
Perfect. We usually get in the court an hour before. Usually, we take out our clothes or our suit, depending on the tournament that we are working on, and and we just let our day or our flight or our boss out, and then get in the situation, say hello to our partners, and talk about the family and the food of that place that we're having the game. After we do that, and we change our clothes and put the clothes of the referee, and we start putting all our dynamics on the for the game. Um, be aware that you do your myofascial release first thing, first thing when you get there. Okay, maybe this will take 5 minutes from your time, and after that, do a small warm up, general warm up, maybe in the gym or a place near to the locker rooms or something. Do a general warm up. Activate your glutes, activate your hips, okay, because you will need it then in the court. And after you do that, we have our pre-game meeting, or it will depend on the crew chief that day. Yeah, or in the tournament, we have to some direction from the boss. We have to do what the boss says. Okay, and after that, we go to the court. 20 minutes before the game. It can change a little bit between tournaments, national tournament, but in FIBA, we go out 20 minutes. We can do some movement in the courts. We can then reactivate our glutes, our hips, and do some sprints do some sprints in the court because we want to prepare our body that looks like what we're going to do in the game. Okay, so I'll let you to talk a little bit about the slide that we have now.
Yes, we have this FIBA manual who was shared on June of this year and gives us some recommendations about types of exercise that you said that we can do before or from the 20 minutes before the game to be ready for the game. Something very important is to have clear that if we are warming up for sure, only or at least one of the referees should be supervising the warm up of the team. So
Hmm.
we need to be switching. If I go to run, then my partner one stays on the spot. Then I can come to the spot, and then he can go to run. If we are three, it's better. But it's very important to have that idea and not being the whole three running at the same time because something might happen, and we need to be ready from that time. So before talking a bit more about the pre-game warm-up, we will make another question to the people here. And the question is, which heart rate image do you think perform a better warm-up before the game? We have here a heart rate image from around 40 minutes before the game until the end, both of them. And uh, we will ask you which of one you consider had the best or a better warm up in that specific game, considering that these are the heart rate and this is the time of the activity. So let's give them a few seconds to vote or to give them opinion to see how can we compare these two. We're having here 57, now it's 50-50. So I think it will be like the Spanish. Any difficult question, they agree to be 50 on one side and 50 on the other. But let's
Hmm.
see how can we do. So I will share some comments at the beginning, so then Joselo can give us his opinion about this specific situation. During some tournaments, we have had the information in which how important it is to have a good warm up before the game. And Joselo has just says we need to warm up in a way or in the intensity that matches the intensity that we'll have during the game. So when we talk about this, we have in the figure A, this is the warm up time before the game, how it goes up the heart rate. Then he comes down to begin the game. It's also the same right here. But when we watch the intensity of the heart rate during the warm up, in this case, it's not the bigger one, which will be if we have a good warm up, but it's like fits a bit what we have after during the game. If we compare with this second, we have like in the warm up we didn't go above 150, and in the game we reached the 180. So it is how a warm up to prepare during the game, and not only physically, but when we are physically prepared, then we reach to the spot on time. We are focused. We have a fresh brain to process the play and to have a better decision-making process. So now Joselo can give us any other opinion in this matter.
Yes. As we say, as I say, and you say it right now, we had to simulate. We had to go up in that hill and getting the point that we simulate what we will have physically, physiologically in the game. So in the graphic that we have at the left, we see that the heart rate goes up close to the top that referee had in that game that we had to simulate, and different from the right that we having a heart rate just lower than we have at the beginning of the game. That is just before the 1 hour point that we are looking down at the graphic. Um, what can happen here? First thing, our body is not well ready to referee a game that can surprise you in that point, and we can have a decision to take in the first 2 minutes, 3 minutes in the game that can affect negatively in a negative manner the rest of the game. And if we are not ready to take the decision physically and mentally, that can affect maybe the rest of the tournament. Sometimes that can affect the rest of our careers. Okay, so it's very important that you get pretty ready before the game with the warm up, and it is close to what you had to do during that game, and to be in the best place to have the best calls in the first minute of that game.
So perfect. We
I forgot a point before, Julio. I'm sorry. Um, your last meal before the game, hard meal. I didn't talk about that point when we talk about how to eat before the game. 1 hour and 45 minutes before. Okay, let your body to do the digestion process. So when you get in the game, you're already past that. So before the game in the gyms, okay, use fruits, rehydrate yourself. Okay, don't do anything hard because your body will be fighting, and your blood will be fighting of where to go between your brain and or go to the stomachs to manage all the food that you put in there. Okay, so be aware of that. So I don't want to pass that point before we keep going.
perfect. So we talked about this specific and important situation. The recommendation is to have the highest heart rate during the warm up and not during the
Yeah.
game. That's like the purpose. And this is an important information for you to understand the importance. And I know a lot of us are waiting our first game after this situation in case we are not refereeing, and we will need to be ready from that very first game. Now, we will move to the halftime activation. Sometimes it's something we might not seem very important, but in the picture, it is not a picture of a halftime, it's a picture of a post-game meeting because we usually don't take pictures. We cannot take pictures during the halftime, but it's just to simulate how is our activity during the halftime. The second quarter ends, we go to the locker room, we sit down to talk about the game, and we forget to do anything, any physical activity, and then we realize, hey, 3 minutes to go, and then we go back straight to the third quarter. So first, we will share a question with the people in which the question is it necessary to activate the body during the halftime? You can answer no, the first option, we should rest during the complete halftime, or yes, if we should rest during the first minutes and then activate the body to begin the third quarter appropriately. So you can start giving your opinion on this matter. And now it is not about if you do or if you don't do. It is to know if you think that is necessary. So don't care if you have never done. If you think now with what we are talking about that is necessary, then you can give your opinion. And in this way, we have about 80% of the people saying that it's
Mhm.
necessary in this case. So we will ask Joselo, how important is to activate the body during the halftime?
Well, it's important as we get older, because when we get older, um, the warm up situation, because our hormones change, and is better for a veteran referee to don't stop everything during the halftime. When we get there, it will depend on the game. Some games we need maybe 3 to 4 minutes to talk about the first half, or depending it was a rough game or something like that, and we had to regroup our that plan that we had in the before the game, because for every game we need a plan. We don't have a plan to go to the bottle, and the bottle for us in every game, but we're missing this. So in the halftime, we need to check if that plan for the bottle is being applied, or we have to regroup and then change our plan for the second half. So once we do this, we had to reactivate a little bit our body. We had to let be stand up, do some movement, soft movement in the locker room. And if we have a moment when we go back to the court at the halftime, before everybody go to the benches, maybe we can do some runs in the end line, so we can be ready to take a good decision in the third quarter. Remember, we all referees here. We know that the third quarter it can be a switch moment. We use it to reset the tempo that we did in the first quarter. So if we are out of the activity, maybe can something happens that surprise us, and it can change the rest of the game. So I recommend that we do something and don't just rest the whole halftime time.
We have now here a graphic of the heart rate again, and we have pointed out where is the halftime, which was here with the yellow line. And we have some statements or facts that happen during the halftime. We have that the players warm up during the halftime. They go to the locker room, talks for 5, 6 minutes, and then they come back around 7 to 8 minutes to go to have the warm up to begin strong the third quarter. Then, as Joselo said, we have possible changes in the intensity of the game. We have maybe a team that is losing by 10, 15, 20 points. They want to change something, and it usually happens during those first minutes of the third quarter. And important calls during those first minutes of the third quarter, if we commit a mistake and we have big reactions, sometimes we don't understand why. But as we said, if a team is down by 20, they go to the locker room, they talk about this change in the tempo or something, then they come back and they start to cut that advantage, and they make a 6-0 run, and he's now 14 and then 12, and then comes a big play and the referee missed. For sure we will have a big reaction because we are like stopping the momentum that they are having after that halftime. So it's important how we can activate our body so we can come back in a good physical way to referee from the beginning of the third quarter. So Joselo, what can you talk us about the graphic itself and any other recommendation about this matter?
You just say almost everything. I think you want to have my job.
I, I want, I'm not the one. Trust me.
Hey, yes. If we see the graphic, it goes all the way down, almost to the resting, in a resting situation. Yeah, we're sitting. Um, we don't want to do that for the whole 15 minutes. It is not the well manner to manage our body to be ready for the third quarter. Okay, as I said, do some movement, stand up, do some jumping jacks in place in the locker room. If you have something to help your blood flow in the half blood flow, we have some sticks that help with the blood flow. Keep moving the blood flow with your lower part of the body. That is most important than the upper part of the body because we are running all the time. Okay, and then do some movement in the court. That's what I have for you, so we can be ready for the battle in the second half.
So those of you above 80% that says that it was important, so it is time to start doing it from your next game. So now we move to our last spot in this chain, which is the post-game illustration. And sometimes I do, I will not lie. The game finish, I sign the score sheet, and we pick up our bags and we go, if it is at the local level, the car, go to home and forget about stretching. And sometimes in international levels, the last game of the day,
Mhm.
we are like hurry to go to the hotel, and then we arrive at the hotel and we forgot uh, everything about post-game stretching. So before going to the topic, we will ask the people how important is for you to stretch after the game. We have option A, it's very important. I always spend more minutes to stretch after the game. And the B is not at all, I do not consider necessary to stretch after the game. So it is the same like the halftime. Share your opinion, not your experience, so we can know if you think that it is important or not. So let's you have the poll already. You can give your opinion. What do you think? Not what do you do. So we will know if this will reach you in some. So we are having here. Thing about 90%, same as in Spanish, thinks that is important. Now is the next step to do because I think that is important. So we will ask Joselo how important is the post-game stretching and what types of exercise do you recommend? And I will share also the slide about some stretching that is on the map.
Yes. We talked that before the game, it's good to do some dynamic stretching because they will prepare our muscles, our bones to the situation that we're having in the game during the game. After the game, go back again, do a facial release, do your session. It doesn't matter if you do it at the court, if you have time to do it before the bus is going back to the hotel, do it. If you don't have time to do it there, do it back in your room. But do your stretch, do your myofascial release. After that, the recommendation is to do the passive passive stretching. Okay, so there you have to hold all this situation. Like we have 5 examples here in the slideshow, and you have to hold that position between 15 and 30 seconds every movement that we had to, and is most important in the lowest part of the body because that is in more stress during the game than the upper part of the body. Okay, so hold it from 15 to 30 seconds. Do it from the neck through the ankles and go around 3 times. So it will take you around 10 minutes to do this stretching session. Why we had to do it? We had to do it because we built some lactates during the game. We had some trigger points that our muscles just getting that because of the movement that we have in the game, and we want to take that back down and be ready for the next morning because Joselo will wake you up to have a training. Okay.
That's very important. That ending the day properly, so in the next morning we can wake up with that energy to go back again to the business in this short term.
Yes.
So, before going to the question, we know ask your question. We have here two. We'll be answering. Ask or write here on the chat, or you can also click the request to speak button so you can ask the question live here. So before moving on, we will share a digital certificate to Joselo on joining us. It says certificate to Joselo for your valuable participation during our seventh digital session titled Activate Your Body Before, During, and After the Game. So thank you very much for all this knowledge. I know it will be very helpful from the people live and also from the people that will watch on YouTube. Also,
Thank you
inviting
for
you
that. Thank you for that.
inviting you for our next session next week, same day, Thursday, same time, and it will be about perimeter shot and the importance of protecting the shooter. We watched last week in scouting one team in the World Cup who shot 40 3 pointers and 45 2 pointers. So we watched almost the 50% of the shots were 3 pointers. So now it is time to take a look about how to be ready for this. So let's move on to the questions. I will watch here. We have a question from Jillian. She's from the Caribbean. I have been with her in a tournament. She asked, during a short tournament, how many hours do you recommend for sleep after a match?
Okay. But first of all, hello, Gillian. Remember you? I have been with you in a few tournaments. The time, the sleeping time, it will depends of how age we are. Uh, in the 20s, you will need your 8 to 9 hours. If you are more in the 30s, 40s, close to the 50s, we need less time. Maybe 6 hours is enough. Okay, but that will depend on the persons. It's very different. The most important situations is the quality of this sleep that we have. Okay, so there is some apps that help you with that. Fitness Pal is an app that can help you. You put it in your bed, and it let you know how the quality of your sleep that night, and when you was in a way manner, so you can be better for the next day. So it will be around 8 hours, but in my case, I'm 30, I'm 37. I will be 38 next month. I'm good with 6 hours. So it's gonna be different from person to person.
It's a good question. I will share something that in the last tournament, as we have received the Polar Watch, maybe some of you can have a Polar or any other smart watch. They asked us to sleep with the watch. It was not
Yes.
the most comfortable thing, but we
Mm-hmm.
need to do. And after, in the next day, we watch the watch, and it says the time we sleep, the quality of the sleep, the continuing of the sleep, and it's like an information they were recollecting from us just to make any study
Mm-hmm.
or any research in that matter. So if we want to go deeper in our preparation, it's another thing
Yes.
we can have to stop.
Yes. Actually, you can track your heart rate in the mornings. You're supposed to have your heart rate. It's supposed to be steady every morning. If you see there is a high in the heart rate, in resting heart rate, maybe you're getting overtraining, and an overtraining situation can lead you to injuries or maybe miss a season. So when you see you're getting very deep, as you say, you can use your polar, or you can use your smartwatch to track your sleeping quality, and to track your resting heart rate. I remember one strength coach here in Puerto Rico. He was training this guy from Argentina. Merchino Maidana is a boxer, and Merchino likes to go out and party and drink, and he knows that because the morning after, when he measures the heart rate situation, it was too high. And if you had a high, or you were overtraining, or you went to party, that's your heart doesn't lie. Okay, so he decides to go. He decides to go and sleep with the Chino Maidana every night. So I will not sleep with you in any tournament, but I will keep track of your heart rate.
Let's another question we have here. Can you talk us about the invisible training and how can we track that invisible training?
Yes, yes. Actually, we talk about smartwatch. We talk about Polar. That invisible training, and we have the Fitness Pal. Is another app that we can download and use it, and you can put in there all that you do during the day, because the invisible training is what we do when we are not training. That's why they call it invisible. So all those situations around, like the rehydration that we talk a little bit about that. Actually, we don't say it in this speech that we have to count every pound that we lose in every training and drink back 24 ounces for every pound to rehydrate our body. We can do that in the games too. You can weigh yourself before, weigh yourself after, and for every pound you have to drink 24 ounces of liquid. Okay, and be aware too of drinking a lot of water before the game because maybe you want to put out some urine during the game and you will be uncomfortable. So the sport beverages can be better because they stay more in the body. So that's part of the visible training too. Invisible training is how you rest. Invisible training is how you deal with your jet lag. If you're flying from your country to another country to have a tournament of your is in your country, you have to change your hour between 3 to 5 hours of difference. So there's gonna be a jet lag process. So how you work with that is the invisible training.
Another question we have here: how long can be the training in one day, or a session, a training session? How long can it be to be good for a referee?
Well, you're between your warm up, your training, and your stretching. If an aerobic session is gonna last 1 hour. If you are doing strength training, it the recommendations is not above 1 hour because you will create some hormones in your body, cortisol, and that hormone breaks down your muscle. So we don't want that to happen. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. That you have goals with strength training and you have goals with aerobic training. Separate that in 8 hours, so you can have your full hour for the aerobic training, and you got your full hour for your strength training in different sessions.
If we want to give or share some greetings with Alejandro Brand from Guatemala. We have here always Jaunis, Jimenez from Oman, and those another country in the Middle East. And remember, if you have any other question, please type here in the chat or make the request to speak. I think Alejandro have just done just to have his question live. While he is joining us, remember that during the game, the golden rule for us is the game control. At the end of the day, it is all about the game control. And the game control comes from the management of the people. The management of the people comes from the reactions to our decisions. And our decisions are built on many things in which the physical capacity is very important because it's the spot where we are on the court. So don't disregard the importance of being physically prepared, not to the fitness test, but to referee the game from the toss to the end of it. So I think we got Alejandro here. You can uh, connect your mic and camera and share your question or your opinion with us. Let's wait for him. Any other question? Remember on the chat. I think now here. Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. Good to see you again. How are you doing, Julio?
Fine, thank you. We're missing.
Joselo, nice to meet you.
Feel good.
Nice to meet you too, Alejandro.
Well, my name is Alejandro. I am from Guatemala. This is the second time that am participating here through the video conference with Julio. And first of all, let me say, excuse the beard and the long hair, but as you may know, during this quarantine time, my wife is enjoying what she cannot when I'm working as a referee. So it's her time, you know. But don't worry, when I'm working as a referee, there's no beard and no long hair. So just for you to take that and notice. And number two, my question goes to this: according to the age, because I'm turning 42 years old very soon. How far do you think that we can go with the training and the physical test? I understand that you have to complete 86 touches to each side of the lines when you're doing the test. How far do you recommend to go according to the age in the training and in the test? Thank you.
Okay. Um, the I have guys from 42 years old that are in better shape from 20 years old guys. I have been training athletes that had a great performance and they are 50 years old. I have been training athletes and evaluating athletes that have 25, 26 years old. So it will depend on the capacity of if each of the person that have been built in his life, and in the moment that we are making the test and the preparation. So if we want to keep in this game, we have to be aware that we need to compete. And I'm saying compete, but anyway, no, we are in the same court. Players want to score, and we want to don't miss any place, any place in the game. So if we want to be on top of that game, we have to know that at 28 years old, those players are in their peak. So if we have 42, we have 45, we have 50 years old, we have to prepare ourselves to be on top with that 28 years guy. Okay, so in terms of different situation in the preparation, yes, we had to go individual with all the referees, but always thinking that we had to be on top of that game to compete with that 28 years guy. So once that happens, and now I'm turning 38 next month. When that's happened, maybe it's the time from Joselo to do more speeches and to train other person and to referee a little bit less.
Uh, I think that's a good question in terms of participation in a tournament or event because sometimes, as we speak in the first session, this test is just to participate. It's like something we need to do
Yes,
to participate.
yes,
And then the most
yes.
important is to be ready for the game. But thinking about the game itself, there's still being the same game for the referee of 20 years old and the referee of 40 years old. So
Mhm.
for sure, the experience that has that 40 years old referee is very important to control and to give all the serving for the game. But the game still being the same. So when we talk about if there needs to be like 86 for from this to this age, and we can say 76 from this to this age, and then 66 from this to this age, sometimes it's like difficult, or other people outside us might think, but why? If they all are running for the same game. I don't know
Yeah,
if I explain myself. And then it needs to
yeah,
go back to the preparation because now I need to have to achieve the same 86, but now I need to prepare different because now I'm uh, older than in the past. So maybe it can be fixed by the local tournament or the federation that have these ranges, but in FIBA, and now they are given a wider opportunity to top referees that are reaching the 50 to stay with the license for one or two more periods after that 50, but based on the thing that they should fit the same fitness qualities that all the other referees. So it's not about, okay, I will
yeah.
have you 2 more years, but now you can run 76. No, if you can run 86, then you can stay 2 more years because it's about the game, not the test.
Yes, it's the requirement. That we had to do it because it's the requirement to do it. Here in Puerto Rico, years few years ago, because we had to acknowledge that when you get older in this business, you get wise, and you have you know more the game, and you know more the show, and you know how to handle it in a in a better manner. I'm not the same referee that I was 20 years ago. Now I think that I'm better referees. Maybe the fans don't say the same thing, but anyway. Um, eh, but now you're getting older, but the requirement from the league is still the same. What I did a few years ago, because I had nationally some partners that were getting old and say, hey, Joselo, well, I asked the league to do some tables more flexible to our older partners, and they say, "Hey, why you do that? Because if we are not here, you can have more games." And I say, I want to be a better partner for you, and I know that you know how to handle the game better than me, and I was still learning from you. So when you go out, I can manage this game in a way manner." So I did it. The league listened to me, and they were more flexible with our partners. But if you want to be in FIBA, you have to hit the 86. There's no negotiation with that.
We have another question from our friend Norval Young from
Normal.
UBI. He asks, during a league tournament, should the day after a game be for resting or recovery training?
Recovery, yes. Um, it's better when you do some recovery training before a day before you have a game, because again, it will help to get more oxygen in your muscles. And if you had a game before that day, you can do some movement alike that we do on the court, just change of direction, but in a lowest impact manner. That will help you to recover faster than than doesn't do anything. So, and I forgot to say this too. If you are not injured, don't use ice after your games. Okay, ice can retard. They can your recovery will be lowest if you use it and you don't need it. So don't use ice. Just it's better to do a recovery session, as Noble say, than do that doesn't do anything, and you will be well prepared for the next day. Okay. And hello to Noble. Noble is a great referee and a great athlete too.
Yes, was also FIFA soccer referee, so he is everywhere.
That
Very
guy is fast. He is fast.
okay. So thank you very much for your participation. I think I made my closing statement already. So now it's time for Joselo to give any final opinion or suggestion to the people that are joining us.
Well, I just want to say thank you to you, Julio, to Omar, for having me here. As I said, I start to be in a basketball court at 4 years old. So I have been 34 years old in a basketball court. I consider me more than a referee, a sportman. I have been doing sports since I was a child in my neighborhood. I grew up from people say it in English sometimes a ghetto, and basketball and sports just get me out of trouble. So I'm very thankful of that situation, and I will be available for you guys in your countries. If you want to having me by Zoom, or you want to invite me to have some food there in say we are here from Caribbean, Africa, or Asia. I'm available to talk to you guys about sports as we like.
So thank you very much. Let's see you next Thursday, the same time, and have a great weekend. So